So we'll just do a quick introduction here. So my name is Carrie Kyser. I'm an instructional designer at Lewis Clark State College, and I have...
I'm Lesperance. I'm the director for e-learning services and the Center for Accessibility and Testing. I also do state authorization for our school.
Yeah.
We're small and everybody does a lot.
Yep.
So you're at the same school?
We are.
Yes, she's mine.
Yeah.
She's one of my kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is my boss. So if you guys are here for emails to empathy, so what is this session? So support emails aren't just technical, they're emotional. So most of the support that I get from faculty, so my sole role is faculty support. And the most common way that they get a hold of me is through email. So this is kind of just looking at ways to build communication, to build confidence with your faculty, and communication tools with that. So to give just a little bit of background on us, so you know where we're coming from with our talk, I'm an accidental instructional designer. I did not plan this as a career choice at all. My degree is in landscape architecture, and then I later kind of had a career change and started working at a public library, and then later worked at Washington State University, where I was WSU's online support for their global campus.
And my boss.
Yes, so I actually hired Dawn when I worked at WSU. And then later, and then years, I don't know, we worked together there for 2 years.
2 years.
And then I had moved to Lewiston, Idaho, where Lewis Clark State College is located. Don't get it confused with Lewis and Clark. Those are two separate schools. I know we always
We're
say
the hyphen and
we're
not the
hyphen.
ampersand.
Yes.
We're
You're the ampersand. Thank you. We used to.
Do you know
Did
Patrick? Because I didn't, but I do
Patrick
now.
retire, I think? There used to be a Patrick.
There was a Patrick.
Yes, the first year we came to this conference in Boise, everyone kept stopping us and be like, do you know Patrick? And I'm like, I have no idea who we're talking about.
You should have started saying yes, yes.
Well, we kind of did.
We finally bumped into it.
Yeah, we finally ran into him, and so it was pretty funny. But yeah, so then I transitioned to working at Lewis Clark State College, and a few months after I started working there, the position to be my boss opened up, and I had a really great employee at my last job, so I told her to apply. And now
That's not what she told me. She said, I have your stuff, and if you don't apply, I will submit it for you.
Yeah. But Dawn
what she said.
also has
Carrie's a bully.
Yes. She also has kind of a unique background.
I do. I'm an accidental director. I was actually not even in education. I was raised in a restaurant family. When I graduated high school at 18, I was not on a college track. In fact, for my 18th birthday, I got a bar. So I ran a bar and restaurant for 5 years, and after having some kids, decided I loved the work, hated the hours, went back to college for hospitality, and again, Kansas State University, and we were actually there at the same time, but as an architecture student, Carrie's not allowed to leave her building the last 3 years of her program, so we didn't know each other there, but so I ran a bar for 10 years on my own before I finally graduated, got involved with the honor system of my college, switched to education. And then I've done a couple odd things, but it tends to fall to me at our college when we have people who are not happy with the policy that we have enacted. Namely, the biggest one that we dealt with was COVID. As I oversee accessibility services, clearly masks are an accommodation, and so everybody called and yelled at me. So I probably had 3 calls a day where I just went, yeah, oh, no, I completely understand. And so I jokingly say that all of my customer service experience is bartender training, but it has served me very well.
Yeah, very good. So what we're going to look at is, is instructional designers, nobody's contacting me when they're calm. They're contacting me when they've got a problem, when they're frustrated, when they're embarrassed about something. And this is just kind of looking at ways to do that. But first, we're going to play a game, because I like playing games. Okay, so you guys have 30 seconds, and you're going to memorize what's on the next screen, okay? You can't take notes, don't take a picture. If you guess what's going on, kind of keep it to yourself, don't share with your neighbor. So use just your memory, and see if you can memorize this. I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds. I'm watching. It's the most quiet 30 seconds of the whole thing.
All right, so Jeopardy stuff.
Hey, 2 seconds. All right. So now that you have that all memorized, because I know you guys all did, you all have like photographic memory. Let's fill in the letters and spell these words. Does anybody remember any of the letters?
What do you want to take a
You can
shot?
totally.
Just any words
Yeah.
that don't,
Yeah. You remember any of them?
most fast.
No, so like what letter would go in this shape? Oh, it doesn't, oh yeah, it does let me, okay. So like, does anybody remember what shape went in like the full square? Or what letter went in the full square?
E. That's the one I
Okay.
remember.
So we got an E. We've got that. Does anybody remember any of the other letters? You don't, it's okay.
H.
You have an H? Which one
I
was it?
know, I was saying maybe that middle word H, A-G-E.
Oh, maybe. See?
Oh, close. You were close.
You were close.
I was guessing, so.
Yep. All right.
Well, now we know that A goes in the middle of this other one.
Yeah, exactly. So you learned a piece, right? And so now you know that this weird little L shape is an A, so we can fill it. So you're
And
piecing
the
it
E on
together,
top.
right? And we've got an E here because you know that one. Okay?
So when it goes through the letter I, so all you have to do is.
Yeah. So through piecing it together, you guys can kind of get it, right?
We got this.
You got this. Memorizing random things is really hard, right?
Well done.
I will say this morning, I have a funny story about this slide this morning. So I pulled this up before we got here and I opened up the slide and I was like, there was this picture of this really cool cartoon with a woman looking frustrated. And I was like, where did I get that image? And I could not picture putting it in there.
My one contribution.
To
Ladies
doing
and
it, she
gentlemen.
had put it in there and I didn't know it, and it
Gone.
like I thought I was going crazy, so I deleted the
Oh.
little so then this morning she's
And you
like,
know
I
how
added a
Google search
picture.
works? It's gone now. It's just gone. We've searched. It's
And I
gone.
was like,
Oh.
I'm so sorry. I was like, I think I deleted your person. Anyway, that's my funny story from this one. Okay, so would that have been easier to memorize if you would have had the framework?
Well,
And what if you had the structure? So do you guys see now how the A is the upper corner of a tic-tac-toe, the B is the middle? So now that you have the framework and the structure, let's try it again. So now you guys know, well you guys remembered that E was here. We remembered that A was, and the C. So then, what? Oh, F. F. I know I sometimes have to count it, right? Like remembering. So that one's D. So then we've got G. G. And we've got another A.
A, and is that B?
There we go. So once you've had that framework and structure, it's much easier to be able to solve the problem, right? So here's another one. We can try it again. So you guys remembered that the square is E, right? So what was this one?
G.
Yeah. And we've got our A. We remember our A. B, A, G. And then we've got I and another D. Now you guys were able, even without memorizing that whole page, you were able to fill in some of the gaps, right? Like, because you remembered E, and then you remembered, okay, it only goes to I, right? But you didn't know, but had you had that framework and that structure, it's not as big of a problem, right? So people struggle without structure, and giving frameworks and clarity helps faculty solve problems themselves. So instead of giving them that jumbled roadmap of, hey, memorize this and see you later, giving them that structure and that support, it builds their confidence and their trust. And that's the biggest thing with giving, faculty support, customer service, if you want to call it. It's just our customers are faculty, so we often call it faculty support. It really builds their confidence and trust. So as we were saying, like, people struggle without structure. Faculty are juggling a lot of things. They're teaching, they're grading student issues, committee work, emails, deadlines, and everything. They're not contacting us when they're like at their best. They're struggling with a lot of other things. They're frustrated with unclear instructions, and even they are all subject matter experts, right? They're possibly the best in their fields, but they can feel stuck without guidance. And those small gaps in communication, when I'm trying to give them support, can create confusion and extra work for everyone.
Yes, because you know how those emails go when somebody sends you an email and says, what about this thing? And then you tell them how to fix the thing, and they reply back because you didn't tell them how to fix the thing, you just told them to fix the thing.
Yeah.
And it ends up being 10 emails when, if, like Carrie's going to point out here on the next slide, if you go into a little more detail, you eliminate a lot of that.
So, faculty members, this is kind of an example, they can email you with a question about the LMS, but if your response is just a step-by-step fix without context, you might be unsure of why it works and how to fix it the next time. I sometimes joke that I almost want to train my faculty so much that they don't have to contact me. I want to work myself out of a job, right? Because if I've shown them the maps and stuff, they should be able to solve a lot of their problems on their own. So providing structure, it does empower people. So clear framework lets people answer in their own questions. That's kind of what I was talking about, you know. It allows them to feel confident in answering their own questions. It's just kind of like revealing that tic-tac-toe board. It lets participants complete all those words. We're letting them have predictable and organized steps in the communication. And it break the process into chunks or visual guides and share reasoning behind their actions. When they know the why, it's better than just the instructions. It can be how a user will feel much more calm once they know what's happening, what matters, and what's coming next. So instead of saying something like just click here, you know, provide them with a mini roadmap about what they're doing, why it matters, and what to expect next. So a lot of that, you know, that context, it lowers anxiety, it creates an understanding, and it creates that independence later so that they feel confident to answer their own questions as well. Again, confidence builds trust. Every interaction either increases or decreases someone's confidence. And the biggest thing, I need my faculty to have confidence in my ability, because then when we do have to roll out a new tool, or we are wanting to test something.
Or Canvas does now.
Or Canvas does now. Canvas is broken. They feel confident when they call and get a message from me that it's taken care of, or we're doing what we can to our best ability, or like with a new software tool recently, well, I guess it's a couple years ago, we were testing out different video platforms, you know, and it was like, because faculty felt confident with me, I could be like, hey, do you want to try out Nocto? Do you want to try Kaltura for me? Tell me what you think. And they're way more receptive to that because I've helped them build that confidence. And it does reduce their questions and frustrations. Like I said, they're busy people too. You know, they've got students grading, committee work, research, everything. And just trust makes it easier to be more collaborative. Then too, if you know we're having a problem with a certain area too, if somebody has confidence in me, say we got a new social worker instructor, but I knew that I had a really good relationship with the other instructors in that area, and so then I can help those people mesh together as well and help them build their confidence as peers too. So again, an example of the faculty member who successfully navigates a new tool with a clear explanation is more likely to try new tools in the future. And that's kind of what I was talking about with when we need them to help us because we've helped build their confidence, they're way more likely to do that. So empathy is more than just politeness. It's not just, you know, being nice and cheerful in your emails. That game highlighted the frustration isn't about a lack of skill. It's about missing the structure, and empathy means understanding the user's perspective. So empathy is it's not fake cheerfulness. It's not excessive apologizing or over-promising or emotional exhaustion. What it is it's reducing the shame of asking a question. It's reducing the confusion. It's recognizing stress. And it's also creating that psychological safety zone where they feel confident enough to come to me when they do feel like they have a quote-unquote dumb question. And it's also being able to communicate clearly with them. You know, I've had very prestigious faculty members even call me and I'm trying to give them instructions over the phone and I have to explain what a right click is on a mouse. And so like you sometimes have to explain something that's very basic to us who are tech savvy and use computers a lot, but a lot of times, you know, that's not their area of expertise, and you've got to be able to communicate those things clearly and do it without making someone feel bad for asking the question. So empathy and support work, it's often very practical. It sounds like clarity and reassurance and patience. Okay, but how do you actually do this? You know, those are great like theories saying, hey, be nice, give them instructions and stuff. But let's kind of look at the practical parts of this. So the biggest thing, you need to normalize the confusion. You know, let them know, hey, you know, this part trips up a lot of people. Or, you know, Canvas hides that setting. I don't know, I think several of the schools here are Canvas schools. You know, when you're switching from classic quizzes to new quizzes, and when you do that on the new quizzes page, you have to hit build to see the questions, right? And in old classic quizzes, there was a tab at the top. I am pretty sure I got more phone calls after they transferred to faculty saying, my questions are all gone. Because clicking on build, they're not building anything, they just want to see their questions. And it's not very intuitive. And letting them know, hey, you know, Canvas uses, I always say you have to learn to speak Canvas, and Canvas uses the word build for everything with your quizzes. And just letting them know, like, hey, I've gotten this phone call several times, so, you know, just go ahead and click on that build, you'll see your questions. And those phrases help reduce that embarrassment to it. Also, you need to give a successful expectation. Like, you can't just tell them to click here, what are they gonna see when they click here? Instead of, you know, hey, just try this, say, you know, once this updates in the settings, the students will immediately be able to submit. Let them know what's going to happen once they take those steps. And it helps them know if they succeeded, right? Like, how do they know if they fixed it or not?
A win is a win some days.
Yep.
You take what you can get, and if that's where it is.
Exactly. So, and also reduce ambiguity. Instead of saying, you know, click that button on the left. And a lot of times these are either in an email or a phone call, you know, so you're not sitting there being able to point on the screen. But instead of just saying that, you know, explain, you know, if you go to the navigation menu on the left, look for assignments, click on assignments, give them those clear instructions to reduce the ambiguity of it. And also explain why. Faculty retain information better when they understand why a system behaves a certain way. So if you explain, I'll use a Canvas reference again. In assignments in Canvas, it's anything graded, right? So if you click on the assignments tab, you'll see your quizzes, graded discussions, and your assignments. And so to explain to faculty that, you know, you again learn to speak Canvas, and you say, you know, the assignments, it's anything graded. That's why when you open that tab, you're also seeing your quizzes. And once they understand why, because Canvas sees it as graded, so they see it as an assignment, their confusion is gone and they understand what's going. And that's kind of that, how you have to give them that structure so that they can answer their own questions. All right, let's look at a real world example. So this is an email, sort of, I did change it just slightly for this, from a faculty member. So it says, hey Carrie, I'm getting emails from students saying they can't access the quiz for this week. I thought I published everything already, but apparently something still isn't working. Can you take a look? I'm not sure what's missing. Now, this is actually something that bugs me sometimes. Faculty never tell me what class it is. They
What
always
was
just say,
student
my
or-
quiz is broken, can you fix it? I'm like, you teach like 10 classes. I don't know. But I did, for the sake of this, I didn't.
This is actually more information than we normally get.
Yeah, they're usually like, my quiz is broken.
I assume for the IT
Yep.
folks that your help desk tickets are much the same.
Yeah.
I plugged this thing in, it's not working.
Yeah.
Great, can you tell me more?
What did you plug in and why is it, what is
Yes.
it trying to do? What is it, right?
Where were you at?
Yes,
Exactly.
and so we've been forever, it seems like, trying to explain, okay, we need to know what the class is,
Yep.
what the section is, who the student is, who's the specific person.
Yep.
But really, this isn't bad for what we
Yeah,
sometimes
this is a pretty good one. Yep. So here's an example of a way, this is not how I answered the question, but how something can happen. You know, your quiz is unpublished.
This is
You
what
need
Carrie
to-
says in her head.
Yeah. You need to publish both the module and the quiz. So, you know, they have the the quiz in a module as well. The module wasn't published, but the quiz was, so students are gonna take it, right? That's a pretty common one, especially last week with finals. So the thing is like, this response, it doesn't name the issue clearly, it doesn't say why, it doesn't normalize any of their own confusion. So how could we make this better? You know, what could we do that sets that expectation for them? It makes it feel more collaborative rather than transactional. It's not just them saying, this is broken, can you look, and me saying, yeah, go publish. Like, it's less transactional and more collaborative if we do a response that's more like this. So first off, you know, we say, hey, I found the issue, the quiz itself is published, but the module it lives in is still unpublished. So students can't see any of the content inside yet. So that it doesn't just say, yeah, you know, you published here, but not here. It's clearly telling them, like, that's why the students can't see it yet. And I, again, normalize it, right? Say, this is a really common Canvas issue because there are actually 2 different published settings working together. Once you publish the module, the students should immediately be able to access the quiz. Therefore, giving them that expectation. What's gonna happen once you publish that? I've included a screenshot below showing where to click. I give my faculty a ton of screenshots. We use Snagit at our institution.
If you don't, you should.
Yeah, I use that constantly, giving quick screenshots with quick annotations, and it is one of the best communication tools that I have with faculty. And then I also end it, you know, hey, let me know if you run into any trouble, you know, Carrie, that's just it. So both of these emails solve the problem, right? This also solved the problem. It did. But with this one, it lets us know, it names it clearly, it normalizes the confusion, it reduces that embarrassment of them being like, oh yeah, I should have known that, you know, because you're letting them know, hey, it's a common problem, people forget to publish in both spots all the time. And it hopefully makes them feel like they can reach out to me if they have another question. So, support is not just solving problems, fixing settings, and answering tickets. That gets the job done, right? It meets the letter of getting it done, but it's not really supporting your users.
The example that I used for the COVID calls, I could have just, when I answered those calls and somebody called and said, I have to wear a mask to campus, I don't think this is fair, I can't wear it for XYZ reasons. I could have just said, very sorry to hear that, it's a campus policy, it's a state policy, if you don't want to wear a mask, don't come to campus, and hang up the phone. It does the same thing. But again, going back to that kind of bartender training that I was talking about, really what we learned, or what I learned in that, is that people just want to be heard. And so if you let them talk, you let them express what's going on, and then like that email, go into a little more thing. You know, I completely understand how you're feeling. I understand that this is a burden on you and that because of XYZ, we have these policies in place to protect our students and our staff and our faculty, and just being empathetic to them and explaining more why we're doing things, kind of like that email, really makes a difference.
Yeah, and that's what she's talking about. So the support really is, it's building confidence, it's creating trust, reducing stress, empowering faculty, and strengthening relationships. And, you know, in the sessions yesterday, a lot of people were, you know, talking about these great, you know, an AV room they built or a certain product they were using. And really, those are great, but unless the faculty and the students are using them, there's no reason to have them, right? And if they trust us when we say, hey, try this tool, you'll get a lot farther with it. You know, in those rooms or those new tools, they'll be used. And that's ultimately the goal, right? And we hope by using those things that our students are getting more out of their education. Because ultimately, if we're supporting the faculty, then hopefully the students are benefiting from that support that we have. So, looking back at our tic-tac-toe board, the game wasn't about memory. It wasn't about having all the answers. It's about what happens when people feel asked to solve a problem without structure. So when they're just running around and don't know what to do or how to solve a problem, it's kind of our role to give them that framework and that that structure. And every support interaction is a chance to replace frustration with confidence. So I think I'll be able to give a little bit of time back to people, but if you guys have questions or anything, feel free to ask. Our contact information is up there on the board. Does anybody have any fun interaction stories with technical support? I think a lot of us in here probably offer some of that. I know some people don't want you, names can be redacted, I guess I should say. But we have lots of examples in our office of emails like that where we're getting questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick statement. So I'm an instructional designer at my institution, and we recently are merging with IT.
Oh, yeah.
My division is academic support and innovation.
Okay.
And so we're blending. And I mean, not to be funny about it, one of the reasons we're blending is because they have a terrible reputation.
Yep.
And we have a great reputation.
Yes.
And faculty love us.
Yep.
And can't despise IT. And one of the reasons that they complain about IT
Yep.
is that it's very transactional.
Yes.
They don't have any compassion.
Yep.
They lock their doors. They don't want any customer service kind of environment. And we're very open door policy. Come in when I help you.
Do you have a candy bowl too?
So we have a candy
We have a
bowl.
candy bowl.
It's a drop.
We feed the IT guys.
And
So-
pastries.
We have a very
Pastries on the
similar-
table. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that to take away from this that I could probably bring back to the division now as a whole that we're merging is kind of like, yeah, we appreciate that transactional interaction. You've got a job to do, you've got a ticket
Yes.
to meet and
Yep.
fulfill, and then you move on to the next one and so on and so
Yep.
forth. But just taking the time
Taking
to
the
maybe
time.
even listen a little bit
Yep.
more to what's going on, and maybe learning from our department and how we engage, and then we can learn from one another. So maybe you're transactional, but maybe you're doing something that we can learn from. But
Yes.
together, it's a
Yeah.
better system,
It
because
is.
now we're seeing the whole point of if we're serving our faculty who serve our students, you're going to have a better experience all around
Yep.
to do that.
Well,
So
we have that
I
same
think it's very
conversation.
fast. I mean, I
We
think
have
We have
that
a very similar.
Yeah.
We have the same conversation with IT that when they come in, usually when we see IT, it's for them to vent to us that something, like people aren't reporting things. They went into a classroom because somebody reported that the box wasn't working, but they went in there and they found like 4 wires were unplugged and the monitor wasn't working and none of the speakers are connected, and like somebody messed with a bunch of stuff but nobody reported it. And we're like, well, but it's kind of that same. I mean, our IT guys are pretty great. I think they have a decent relationship with our campus, but it's the same thing. It's very transactional. And so faculty don't have the same relationship they do with us that they have with them. So
Exactly.
faculty will come to us and say, I'm teaching in
Yeah, can you
204.
help?
204 is
Yeah.
totally weird. I don't know what's going on. And we're like, have you put a ticket in for IT?
Yeah.
And it's like it doesn't even occur to them because they don't have that relationship like they have with us.
Exactly.
And so that's something that we've talked with IT about is, we understand it again. And I feel like I say this in every email I send to faculty. I sent one this morning. I understand your frustration. And so we feel like, by building relationships with the faculty that we have, that we can expand that past our office. So like we talk with IT often about, hey, I talked to Jim and he said that he's teaching a 204 and something's wrong with the computer. Could you just take a look? And maybe we put in a ticket. We're encouraging faculty to be a little more interactive in their classes and reach out to IT when they need to and say, hey, this isn't working right, could you come look at it?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the benefit of this conference for our office specifically, is that because we are IT adjacent, but we are not the ones who, it's like I told all the vendors yesterday, that I'm just here to solicit your money because I really don't know anything about any of this. I don't know what makes the boxes work. I don't know what Crestron plugs into. I think it's a box and a program, there's some wires. I don't have any idea. But I know the people who do know what makes that box work, and I know that they know how to fix that. And I have that relationship with them. And so that has really been a benefit to our office, that we can be that conduit between the two and are encouraging faculty to reach out to IT and reach out to other offices when there's problems. So.
The only, I will say, kind of a downfall to that, exactly what Donna's talking about, is then we get a lot of questions in our office that are not related to us. Because faculty do feel very comfortable calling us. And so
I can help
we
you
do
make a video out of your
Right.
PowerPoint, but.
Yeah, right, or there's things, even if it's something with so our grade system is called Warrior Web, and we don't run that in our office. We have our grades in Canvas, and they don't automatically transfer to our Warrior Web.
You're welcome.
But I'm okay with that, especially after Canvas went down. But, Monday, just 3 days ago now, our grades were due. And it never fails that some faculty doesn't remember how to enter them in Warrior Web. That's the registrar's space, right? Who do they call though when it's not working? And we do our best to help them, but we do say, hey, that's not ours. Like I teach, so I do know how to do it. We actually, all of us in our office do. But I'm like, if it's a technical problem, you're gonna have to call the registrar. And
We're very careful not to say this isn't my job. Like
Right.
that's my. There's
Yes.
two things I hate
Yes.
the most in this world. It's not my job, and we've always done it this way.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yes.
That's a whole
And
nother
she does
topic.
not let any
no,
of her
and
staff
so
say those.
I know that if a student comes in and they're having trouble with the PowerPoint, that's not our job. But there's
Yep.
a student in our office who needs help, and we can help them.
Yeah.
And so unless we have faculty lined up out the door and I
You're
can
gonna
point
help
them to Student Success Center or somewhere else,
Yeah.
I start my conversation with, I'm gonna help you with this today, let's get through this is gonna be great. In the future, if you have problems with this, we have the Student Success Center, they are set up to help you guys with this and they would love to see you. And they're like, oh cool, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And so we are able to communicate that, but at the same time, that customer service piece, we don't want them to say, I went to e-learning and they sucked.
Yeah. They said no. They can't help me.
I'm like, I'm gonna help you with the PowerPoint, have Snickers. Like,
And and it's even little things of customer service of when that's
Candy goes- that candy
then
goes a
walk
long way, I'm
them
telling
over
you.
there,
Yeah.
Don't just be like, yeah, so there's a library building, it's like 3 buildings over, and if you go in the doors and then go to the right and then the left.
we
and
walk a lot of people
we
places.
walk a lot. Our campus is small,
It's
I should say that, so like that's not a huge, I don't
I
think
think
anybody's
this
like
building
doing
may be bigger than our campus.
Yeah, this building is bigger than our campus probably. But, so there's just those little pieces, and that, I will say that is like kind of the only like downside of it, but again, we just try to reiterate to them, I'll help you with what I can, but this is who you should talk to, right? Like letting them know, because a lot of times they don't even know who to talk to, right? And the only reason we know is we've been in there and done it. So, they are, I always say this, faculty they are the subject matter expert, right? They know what they know, and we work in the technology field day in and day out. And so we have to remember that to come at them with that perspective and understand the user's perspective of it. Does anybody have any other questions or comments? Go ahead.
Do you want
I was just wondering, are you applying any of these strategies to your pre-written content, like knowledge articles and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we do put this in. So we have a monthly newsletter, which is actually pretty well read. We always kind of worried about it, but it's actually pretty well read. So we put this out every month in our strategy. We have been we're a very small team. So there is Dawn, our director, and then we have 3 instructional designers, but we've only had 3 of us. We've had 2 of us for almost 10 years, and only recently we're able to hire a 3rd. So we are a very small team. So Angela's the one who's been there longer than I have actually too. And her and I would work together on this. We kind of had the same mindset about it, and with Dawn as our director, this definitely flowed into everything we were doing. But as we've hired another person, we've definitely explained, and shown her email examples and how, for the first 6 months she was there, every email I sent to faculty, I CC'd her on, so that she would read how I was answering those questions. And luckily she was also a very good hire, so she had that skill anyway, but.
And then the other piece of that too, going back to that relationship building, which has really been, I think, the cornerstone of why we've been so successful in our office. In that newsletter she talked about, we've started doing this little fun column when we have space of get to know your IDs essentially. And so we did what are the IDs going to do over summer and what's their favorite snacks, which actually benefits us because then snacks show up. But, but so then faculty who don't use our office very often, they start finding those connections. Well, I can talk to Carrie because she likes dogs and I have a dog, and clearly they're the same person. Yeah. So if they have a question, then they'll reach out to Carrie. Yeah. And so we have found that since we've started doing that, we have seen a little bit of an uptick in people who are contacting our office or even just stopping in to say, hey, I haven't met you in person, and so that really has helped.
We don't have a very good onboarding process at our institution for faculty. So when faculty show up in the fall, they're kind of, I hate to say it, they're kind of just thrown, here's your classes, here you go, right?
They get a half-day training on Canvas.
Yeah.
They get an hour training on accessibility built into their week of shenanigans.
And that's about it. And so we, Angela and I years ago developed a kind of a template email, which we, fill in a little bit more, but it's just welcoming them, letting them know what resources and all of that. And that communication starts a lot of really good relationships with new people on campus. So, but we had to implement that on our own.
Yeah, that was us going to administration saying, we're seeing a gap.
Yeah.
So how can we
Okay.
fix that?
And sorry, you may have said this, but is your help desk separate from your team?
It is.
Yeah.
So our IT help. We're in the same building.
They're
literally
under- they're in
on
our-
top
they're
of
in our
us.
basement.
They're in our basement. And so we are separate. So e-learning
Yeah,
is its
right.
own standalone.
To be fair, they're at least on an outside door. We
Yeah.
don't even have windows.
Great. So we work more with the testing center and accessibility services because she directs all those areas. So we
Okay.
work really closely with those areas. We do work really closely with our IT, mostly because we're all in the same building and see each other. One of our IT guys is here, Corey. You'll see him. We work with them a lot. But yeah, it is separate. So we have a different director. We were actually without an IT director for
2 years.
Almost
It
3
was
years.
rough. It was
And we just got an IT director. So I will say there was some disconnect during those years, of course, because our IT staff was without
They were
a
doing
director.
more.
They were doing a lot. And so we also understood that though and knew that they needed a little extra help from, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they were struggling doing 5 jobs and so yeah, we are separate. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. Good job.
So I'm glad you brought up onboarding because that's literally what I came to your presentation
Mhm.
for. So I do all the onboarding for all the staff and all the OAs in our department. And Digital First is the team I'm on. As a team, we built our template emails that go out to everyone. So for 6 months that I've been in this new role, they have worked perfectly. And now I have 2 new analysts that just onboarded.
Yep.
And everything they need to know is in this first email that regards to our component of training. And one of them, like, basically missed everything in this email. And so
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what have I missed in the way that as a team we built this email where
Yeah.
like it has the links, it explains each thing, but there's not too much.
Yep.
And we leave as much out as possible because there's a follow-up afterwards that comes. And so the part that she missed was basically everything. If you click this, it logs you into Okta. If
Yeah.
you click this, it does this.
Yep.
Here's all your trainings. Here's the list of your
Yep.
trainings. Here's where your trainings are. Go to there. And she's like, how do I get to there?
Yeah.
And so like when that moment happens, how do you guys do the
I
next
tr-
iteration of the
I try to,
template?
if possible, I try to have them come in my office.
Yeah.
That would be
This
the
is-
ideal. That's once sending them an email and talking to them on the phone isn't working. And again, we're a small campus and everybody is required to be on campus where we are. So I have that luxury. So I can say, hey, swing by my office for 15 minutes after whatever.
So when those happen though, do you go like, there's an edit I need to do to this template
Some
that is working
yes,
perfectly?
not
yes
the
and no.
first.
How do you
Yes,
tell?
yes.
Like how do you
So
tell when you?
Here's our rule. Well, it's kind of our rule. It's been since we did support at WSU
Yeah.
too. After we've had 3 people with the same problem.
Okay,
That first one, it's like
maybe it's a one-off.
they probably just didn't agree. You know.
I was like, do I have too much text?
Once we
Like, what's-
yes.
Yeah, well, and
And we do
Yeah.
edit it, like you're saying. So we do sometimes notice like, oh yeah, that's kind of wordy, you know, and we edit it at the beginning. Usually the fall semester is when we review it together. And also the 3 of us instructional designers all work with the different schools. So I work mostly with CTE. Angela works with professional studies, and Elizabeth works with the liberal arts.
the problem children.
And so they are the problem children. So we have kind of a different mindset.
I
of
like
the
that the
faculty.
instructional designers left.
And so we have to, we do kind of be like, well, you know, we call them my kids. That's what because they're our students,
Yeah.
the faculty are. And it's like, well, my kids are very technical, like, you know, give them the steps because they're career technical, right?
Yeah. So
and they'll
because
do it. But the humanities people, like, they're the ones who are going to be asking, like, all the questions, and I didn't read and I don't know what to do, and oh, the dramatics and
Well, I don't want
all
to like
that.
per my previous email.
So
I love that.
but-
So
but it
that's why I have
actually-
I use
ChatGPT.
it a lot.
No, but it actually is true. Like, hey,
Yeah.
but then what you can do is say, hey, I understand that, hey, and see you're still having problems. You know that email that I sent you on Monday? After you go back and look at my 4 bullet points and follow the steps through those 4 bullet points, you'll get to where you need
I just
to
have a
go.
new pared down version.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, and part of-
it's just like, this is this, this is this.
Mhm.
Teams me if that doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, and part of this goes back to accessibility. I mean,
Yeah.
so UDL. So for those of you, does anybody not know what UDL, Universal Design for Learning? It's just meeting your students where they are, essentially, is the gist of it. It's the same thing with faculty. So Carrie mentioned that we have a 3rd instructional designer. We actually had somebody before Elizabeth. Her name was Sarah. So Sarah, I could have sent an email to. She reads the whole email. She does all the stuff. She comes to work at 6:30. She leaves at 3:30. She does her job. That email would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, I could have sent that email to Elizabeth and she would have come in my office and asked me 4 questions.
Uh-huh.
And it's completely irrelevant of what's in the email. It's just that different people receive information differently.
And those 2 people both
Yes.
did that job equally well.
Yes.
Does that
And
make
so-
sense? That's actually
yes.
a really good example.
And so when Carrie mentioned that she oversees CTE, I call them the baseball caps because when they come in, they're all in baseball caps.
Yeah.
That's
So the baseball caps come in and you say, okay, I need you to do A, B, C. They just do it. They don't question it, they just do it. They're like, the instructional designer said I had to do it. It was great. So last fall, we implemented a syllabus template, finally, 10 years later. And so that was a big change for our college. There was a lot of talk of academic freedom, because I don't think we understood what that meant. But we got it through, everybody approved it. She sent it to the CTE guys and they just hammered it out.
Yeah.
Never in the history of ever has CTE have 100% on their syllabus when we do their check. They had 100%, everybody had the right version, everybody had all the information. It was amazing.
But we gave them a structure.
Yes, we gave them a structure, exactly.
And framework, and I said, you know, if you have questions with Word, because I know that they're not all the most tech savvy
Yeah.
people, give me a call. And
But they did it. But then humanities, they want to have a conversation about it. Well, can I add this? Can I take this out? Can I do this? Can I make it purple? Can I do whatever, right?
yeah.
And so, again, we had those conversations with those faculty. Like, we sent them what to do. We're like, fill it out. If you need help, let us know. And of course, then they had all had questions. And we figured it out and we answered the questions and it was great. Professional studies, I mean, again, they're kind of the
Middle ground.
middle ground. For the most part, they just did it. You know, they added some stuff, they took some stuff away. They made it work for them, and that's great. And that's kind of what the expectation was. But I knew when we sent that out that some were going to be like, I'm just going to do what's in the email, and some were going to be a little more hands-on. And so I'm sure the email's fine. It's probably just the way that they interpret that email. And I would say, you know, I guess the older I get, I see a little bit of generational change. I don't think my kids read anything. They're in their lower 30s now. My daughter reads everything. My son doesn't read anything. And they're about 5 years apart. So what I'm noticing of my students that come in the fall, I teach an orientation class, is I can send them that same email, and like none of them will, I don't even think they read email. I'm like, have you checked your email this week? And they're like, yeah, I haven't checked it. Like, I don't even know what my password is.
Yeah.
I haven't been in Canvas. Like, and so I think it just depends on the student, because there's always those kids that sit in the front row that they've been in Canvas like every 3 hours. They check their email. They do what's in the email. But again, there's just some people don't function the same way. So, and it's not wrong. It's just different.
Yeah. Does anybody have other questions? No? Hopefully you guys can take something away from this and support and stuff. And thanks for coming, everybody.
You have to.
Oh, I have to adjourn. No, you're very true.
I second.
You second?
I'm gonna totally borrow your stuff from now on.
It is their time.
Okay.
But it works.
Okay.
It's a good idea.
I'm hoping the sound.
I get all the mom calls.
Okay.
that have
Shouldn't be
parents
an
and-
issue as long as you have an HDMI component. Yeah. that's pushing that.
Presenting which is a whole new thing for me.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, okay, I'll send it out.
Yeah.